Happy Friday. My name is Wendy Knight. I'm the Chief Executive Officer at Sea Turtle Inc. And this is Dr. Amy.
Hi there.
And we are coming to you today to answer quite a bit of the questions we're getting on social media, as well as the questions that we're getting on the phone and through our email about the unusually cold weather that we have descending upon us here on South Padre Island. So as you know, we are at the southernmost tip of Texas. We usually have beautiful weather. We were actually on the beach in the ocean on Christmas Day. But a couple of days ago, a little bit of a winter snap came through here. So lots of people asking questions about what's happening with the sea turtles and if we're experiencing a cold stun. So Dr. Amy and I thought we'd come in today. While we're talking, if you have a specific question about cold stuns, please put them in the chat below, and Dr. Amy and I will take some time before we get off line today and try to answer as many of those as we can. If you don't catch this while we're live, please put those chats in there anyway. We'll come back and answer your questions in the comment section. So the big question is, are we seeing cold stuns? And the simple answer is a little bit. Just a little bit. So we start watching the weather when the water temperature gets below 50 degrees. And so I'll let Amy take a second and kind of give you an idea of what the last 24 hours have looked like.
Sure. Yeah. So our water temperature did fall below threshold about 5 a.m. or so this morning. And it did the same thing yesterday, where it fell below about 5 a.m. and then popped right back up. So we saw just a couple.
Yeah, and we start to track. Remember, one of the big questions we get is, you know, it's 32 degrees outside. What's happening to the turtles? We, as people, care about the air temperature, but the sea turtles really only care about the water temperature. So we start to look when the water temperature itself falls below 50 degrees, which really has only happened a few times over the last 48 hours, and it seems to be right around that 5 a.m. mark. And then luckily the sun comes up and the air temperature warms the water back up and it gets a little warmer. So we actually have 3 cold stun patients right now, which is great. And most of them are relatively small.
They are.
Which we would expect because we're popping in and out of this cold weather. But what we're really seeing and planning for is what's going to start happening tonight. So I'll let Dr. Amy explain that.
Yeah, so right now it's expected that our water temperatures will fall below our threshold maybe around midnight or so tonight and stay pretty cool through tomorrow midday, kind of around lunchtime. So we're expecting that we may see some in the morning from that cold water.
Yeah, and this is where, you know, a lot of pre-planning and, you know, 49 years worth of doing this on South Padre Island comes into play. So we'll have some plans in the morning to send boats out with our TPWD and some of our regulatory partners, and then we'll do foot patrols to kind of take a look and see what's happening. Normally, we wouldn't be too concerned, but we're looking at dropping below that threshold around midnight, and it's staying there until probably noon or so tomorrow. So, you know, if we were guessing people, you know, the scientists and Amy really loves when we guess.
Oh, it's my favorite.
So if we were guessing people, we'll get a handful or two or a bit. Our friends up north, farther up the state of Texas coast, have already got 20 or so.
Yeah, about that.
And they're running a little colder than we are. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have the sun come up in the morning with a bit more.
Yeah.
So
A handful or so.
Anything else? So while we're talking, we'll go ahead and see if there's anybody that has any specific questions about cold stun. We're glad to answer those while we're online. Otherwise, Taylor, I think Taylor's behind the camera today helping us out. Taylor, do we have any questions?
What can viewers do, whether they're here near the island or virtual across the states?
Great. So thank you for asking. You know, we are a nonprofit, and we are very heavily fueled by volunteers. So if you're lucky enough to be on South Padre Island, what we would ask you to do, really starting in the morning when you wake up after your coffee and your breakfast, is just take a look out on the Laguna Madre Bay. You know, cold stuns are Bayside events.
Yes.
And Amy, you want to talk a little about why that's the case? Many people are surprised by that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we see our cold stuns in the bay because it's such a shallow water system. So it's really shallow, has great seagrasses, a great spot for fishing and kayaking and all those things, but also great for our sea turtles to feed. And so because it's so shallow, when that cold front comes through, it drops that water temperature really fast and can stun our turtles.
Yeah, so if you're out and about on South Padre Island, I would say, you know, the Isla Blanca Park, all of the Bayside streets that line Laguna Boulevard,
If you're in Port Isabel,
Yep.
anywhere that lines the bay, North Shore area, if you live in Long Island Village, check around those fingers, all those areas.
And you'll know there's a problem if you see the turtle kind of floating on the surface. So their behavior slows down quite a bit. So many times you won't see them trying to swim at all. They're just hovering on the surface. That's an indicator that you should probably get on the phone and call.
Yes.
And now I'm going to give Amy a real memory test. Can you give the phone number?
100% I can. Give us a call on our emergency line at 956-243-4361.
Great, you got an A+ for the day.
All
I can never
right.
remember the phone number. So that's how you can help if you're right here on South Padre Island. Is to just, if you see that bobbing, if you're not sure, call. Luckily, we're the permitted agency here. We will know and we'll come and we'll help you figure out what's going on. So the next question is, what can you do to help if you're not here? A ton of things. And, we're fueled by donations, obviously. So if you want to offset the time, overtime and all the employee expenses, gas and all the response vehicle and boats, you can make a donation and use the donation button that's attached to this link. We also have an Amazon wish list, which after we're done going live, we'll put in the comments section below. That's a great way to help buy supplies and to help renourish supplies that we use because of events like this. Taylor, any other questions?
Will you guys be open during these cold stun events for the public to either see the cold stuns or just come to the facility?
So the question, in case you couldn't hear on the phone, is will we be open? And the answer is yes, as long as we possibly can. And if we have to close, I'll come here and say so. But historically, I think 200, 250.
Yep.
If we have somewhere between 200 and 250 sea turtles, we can usually stay open. It's a wonderful learning opportunity. It's a volunteer opportunity, and education and understanding around conservation and rehabilitation of sea turtles is part of our mission. So we critically try to stay open for the community and the public to come learn about this as much as we can. Now, this may be, I hope, our last cold stun where we have to have that conversation because we are very near finished construction on the largest fully enclosed sea turtle hospital in the world. And when that facility is open, we have a dedicated cold stun room that will allow us to stay open to the public in almost all scenarios to make sure that you can come here and see and help and learn about cold stuns and what these amazing creatures are doing. So with that, I think we've answered all the questions in the chat, but remember, this video will stay here on the top of our page. So if you see this after, please put your comments below and we'll make sure and come back and circle back to make sure that you have the answers. And with that, I think our best advice is stay warm, watch the bay, and as things develop, if things change significantly, you'll see us come back here and go live again. So